Hi, it's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and today this is going to be a CRAP 21 video, CRAP number 21. And CRAP stands for Creative Relaxation and Play. And this is where I'm going to fool around with a product and see what I can create. And this little experiment today involves flexible modeling paste. Now I'm using flexible modeling paste on purpose, and I'll explain why in a minute. I'm also going to use some jelly plates. These are 5x7 jelly plates. And I'm using something new that I have not used yet at all for anything. And these are, and there's a little piece of plastic on this one I have to get off. These are called rubbing plates. And they're just plastic that has been sort of embossed. And you can use these for a variety of things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down a layer of flexible modeling paste on each one of these 3 jelly plates, and then I'm going to press these plates, these rubbing plates, into each one to create texture. Then I'm going to leave them on the jelly plate until they dry, and that's going to take a little while to do. So I'm not going to have the camera on while that drying process is happening. And I may add some color to a couple of them as well. My idea is that I can get sort of like a bas relief kind of impression that once this flexible modeling paste, say that 5 times fast, that once it's dry, I can peel it off and I can use it like an applique kind of thing onto a mixed media canvas or something like that. So I don't know if this is going to work. This could be total crap, or this could be something very awesome. So let's see what we get. So I have my flexible modeling paste. I am having a real hard time with my lips today. Flexible modeling paste. I'm using Liquitex. It comes in other brands as well. And the reason I'm using flexible modeling paste as opposed to your regular modeling paste is that I think this might allow me to be able to peel it off the jelly plate and to apply it to a different surface without it cracking or splitting or tearing. That's my theory anyways. We'll see how that works out. So I'm just going to take some of this out with my palette knife. It's kind of thick. And I'm just going to spread it, and I'm going to put it on fairly thick because I want to make a fairly deep impression with the rubbing plate. Also, my theory again is that the thicker this is, the easier it's going to be to peel off. If it's too thin, it may come off in pieces as opposed to one big piece, and that's what I want, is one big piece. Now I'm sort of smoothing this down, but I'm not too concerned about it having any ridges or things in it because I want that as texture. And again, as I said, I'm putting it on fairly thick. Okay, so let's take one of these, and I'm looking for the side that has the most raised surface, and I think it's this side. So I'm just going to take it and move this out of my way for a minute, and I'm just going to press it. I'm not really sure how much pressure to give this, but if this doesn't give me much of an impression, I can take it off, smooth down the modeling paste again, and maybe apply a little bit more and try again. Okay, let's pull this up. Well, I did get texture. Okay. Now I had this left over that's on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this off to the side so it can dry. And I'm still not sure if I've got that on thick enough because I think the edges are a little bit thin, but we'll see. But I'm wondering about this leftover that's here. So maybe I'll just take that. I've got a piece of deli paper right here beside me. So maybe I'll just rub it onto that and see if I can get... So yeah, I got a little bit more. See if you can see that. So I'm just going to set that aside. I'll let that dry too. This may be interesting. Now I'm going to take a baby wipe to this immediately. because I really don't want this to dry. But what I'll do is I'll wipe off the bulk of it with baby wipes, and then I'll take it to my sink later, not much later, and give it a good rinse and clean it all off. Be probably a good idea to have a little pot of water sitting beside you to dump these into. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to put it aside, and I'll come back to that. Okay. Second experiment. Kind of like the first, but this time I want to colorize the modeling paste. So I'm getting out another piece of deli paper, and I'm just putting it over here to the side. And I'm going to scoop some of this out. On here, and I'm just going to take some cheap acrylic paint, mix it up here, pour a little of that in, and mix this into the paste. Now, of course, if this works, if I can get these to peel off once they're dry, and I'm not worried about them sticking once they dry to this, because this is silicone. The jelly plates are silicone based, so it should peel right off. It's a question of whether or not it's going to peel off in one piece. That's the part that I'm more interested in figuring out. So I have sort of a pale blue, baby blue here. Just make sure it's mixed in fairly well. Maybe should have mixed this on something a little firmer than deli paper, but oh well, that's what we've got right now. And again, I'm just going to scrape it up. And spread it. Now I'm going to let this be a little thicker than the last one, because especially around the edges, I think those may be too thin. I'm not going to worry about covering the whole jelly plate, because afterwards when this dries, I can probably cut it down a little bit. Okay, so here's my next plate. See if we get anything a little different. Slightly different texture. Of course, I'm not getting really a truly great print, but that is different from the other one. So now I need another piece of jelly paper here. I had one handy. Where did I put it? Oh yeah, over here. And I'm just going to rub this down onto here. I can probably get oops. It is a sticky process. Okay, I'm just going to leave that as it is. I'm going to put that aside to dry. And I'll put this aside to wash. And I'll put this side. Now see, here's the two, show you the difference. So this one's tinted with the blue a little bit, and you can see it's a sort of a different patterning that has come out. So let's put that aside and get out our third jelly plate. Now, I'm going to clean off that's palette knife, because I don't want to contaminate my paste. I'm going to put out some more. I'm not going to worry too much with this next color that I'm going to add, whether what's left on this is going to mix into it. This time I'm going to use this more tealy green, shake it up. Now the thing is, I wonder if adding acrylic paint to it to colorize it is going to change the consistency of it when it dries. Whether this is going to make it more or less flexible or not have any bearing on it whatsoever. Well, I guess we'll find out. Okay. Okay, so again, I'm going to leave this a little bit thick on here. So this is going to take some time to dry, and I don't think I want to hit it with a heat gun because I think that's going to cause problems if I do. I think it should just be left to dry at room temperature, air dry. I think this side, this is a different one again. And it doesn't look that much different from the one I did in blue. Put them side by side here so you can see. But they're still interesting. They still give me texture. So leave that. Let's get out. Okay, I've got this piece of deli paper here. Let me clean off my spatula. And let's just take this. Now, of course, I don't think these are really meant to be used with texture paste, but that's okay. Actually, I think this one's going to be kind of neat when it dries. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to let these all dry. And I'm going to clean up the plates before they set. And as I said, this is probably going to take several hours to do this. And then I'll show you what my result is and see if we can get them off the jelly plates in one piece, or at least a large enough piece to work with. And I'll be back. So it's been 24 hours and these are now dry. And I'm going to attempt to remove them from the jelly plate. Now, how can you tell if they're really thoroughly dry? Well, they should be pretty much at room temperature. If they're still on the cool side to the touch, then that means they're still drying. At least that's what I've been told. So let's see. So this was let's try the first one we did that didn't have any color in it. And this is the one I put on a little bit on the thin side. Now, what I'm doing is I want to get this off in one piece, or try to. So I'm just rolling back the jelly plate and just gently lifting it up off the edges. It seems to be coming up. Try not to get too impatient with this. And I'm just sort of bending back the jelly plate and letting it kind of release itself. I'm really not forcing it here. Okay, that came off pretty good. Now that one was probably the thinnest one I put on, because you can see I've got a few little cracks in here where you can see through it, but that's okay. The next one I did was this light blue, and I put it on a little thicker. Again, I'm sort of letting it take its own time here, but you can see this one's coming off a little faster, and I think that's because it's a little thicker, and that looks pretty good as well. And this one I probably put on the thickest. And there we go. So they all came off very well. Now they feel a little kind of not wet, just a little dampish here. Nope, see that part right there. There was a little part that hadn't dried yet, but that's the under part. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip these over and let them have a little bit more time to dry, putting the good side face down. But what am I going to do with them now that I have them? Well, let me just take these two, set them aside. I'll let them have another hour or two to dry before I do anything with them. And this one I'm just going to see. I have a canvas right here, a large canvas. And I'm thinking of using these on this canvas. I don't know what I'm going to do to the surface of the canvas yet, I haven't decided. But because I use flexible molding paste, and I think I can just adhere these with matte gel, I can actually let these sort of hang over the edge as well, which I think could be very cool. Now this is a pretty big canvas. I don't know if I will use them on this or I'll just use one on here. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with them, but I will make a video, a crap video, showing you what I do with those, and I may use the some of the collage papers I've made as well on this, and we'll see, to make this into a mixed media piece. But this works really well. But I think the key here too is to use flexible modeling paste. I think if you use the regular modeling paste, when it comes to the time to take it off the jelly plates, I think what's going to happen is it'll just break up, it'll crack, it'll crumble. This gives it more elasticity. So lots of potential here. I'm thinking another thing that I could try is, instead of using the rubbing plates, maybe use a rubber stamp that has some very defined edges to it, very defined lines in the pattern, and press that in and see if I can get a more defined imprint as well. Lots of possibilities with this though, I think. So as far as was this awesome or crap? I think this turned out awesome, and I think it's going to be neat to use these in mixed media pieces. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you'll give this a try, and we'll see you for the next crap video. Bye bye for now.